to discuss Victor Osimhen at Napoli. Um, Victor Osimhen, uh, you know, there's been talks about his future for a while now. Um, and I think there's some talks speculating even more with some rumors coming out regarding Chelsea uh, mulling Lukaku Osimhen swap. Not exactly, not exactly like for like, but obviously with the transfer value, it's clear Chelsea are still interested in the Napoli striker. I don't know what made them regain their interest of the past, because we know Chelsea have been always interested of Osimhen, but it kind of, died off over the past, several months or so. But rumors are starting to heat up again. Um, Napoli and Chelsea, they are in talks over a swap deal involving Lukaku and Victor. Sources say that Napoli, they want to get Lukaku on a permanent deal, and Chelsea are ready to let Lukaku go. Napoli and Antonio Conte, they have a history there, and Lukaku played some of his best career football at Napoli, with Antonio Conte. So it's obviously a match made, perfect there. With Osimhen, it's looking like Chelsea are not going to be able to afford to pay that transfer fee this season. It has to be a loan with an option to make the move permanent later on. That's what it's most likely to look on, as Chelsea find themselves in a little bit of a financial hardship. Osimhen has been linked with this move away, and he's actually was not even on the squad for a recent friendly. PSG has also been linked with him. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is likely. I think Osimhen would be an amazing addition for Chelsea in the fact that they just need someone to get the ball into the back of the net. They haven't had that sort of player for a long time. We thought Lukaku was going to come in and be that. He wasn't. There was the Timo Werner experience. Obviously, he wasn't efficient enough in front of goal, and he lacked ability in tight spaces. And, since Diego Costa, Chelsea has not had a number 9, And Osimhen is a guy that he's a great box striker. Chelsea created a lot of chances. They just didn't have that clinical nature. I think Osimhen is clinical. He has the ability to get a goal out of nothing. He has that wild card factor. He has a brilliant touch. He has that unique sort of goal scoring ability to where he can get a goal out of nothing. He can create a goal for himself. He could open up space for his teammates with his runs. He has that sort of, being a number 9, he has that sort of command over a box, command over the 6-yard area. He provides a threat with crosses coming in just based on his height and his physicality and his ability. He really is, a great number 9, and there's no two ways about it. And going into Chelsea and a team that creates a lot of opportunities, there'll be a lot of opportunities created for him. Well, from what we've seen, there won't be no off the field issues that we had with Lukaku, with talking about comments and all that. We hope that we don't get that from Osimhen. We just get football, and I think he fits the system in terms of what we're trying to do. Obviously, we're trying to be possession-oriented sort of play, but look at how Holland has been able to succeed at Manchester City. We can have an element of that. There's also an Osimhen that, you get the ball up to him, and he has technical ability. This isn't someone that'll just lose the ball and that has no ability back to goal. Osimhen is a very, very good player and has some, technical gift. He can play in tight spaces. He can play as sort of, be that hold up man and bring others into play. He has that sort of quality. So I think Osimhen will be a good fit at Chelsea. I do. As long as this is a player that Enzo Maresca wants in, and Chelsea do, they've made it clear that Enzo Maresca is going to be a yes man, and he's not going to have much say on the transfers whatsoever. And if Enzo Maresca doesn't think Osimhen is the right man for his system, but he doesn't have a right to actually say his opinion because he has no decision on transfers. That's a deadly, deadly scenario and a potential scenario for a toxic situation. So we hope that Chelsea are at least doing their due diligence in making and talking to Enzo Maresca about the likes of Osimhen coming in, and being able, if he thinks Osimhen can fit, because that's going to be very, very important. Very, very important. This is Osimhen. Last season, he had 15 goals and 3 assists over the 25 games. In an overall, hugely disappointing season for Napoli. He had 15 goals, which is not brilliant, but it was a very disappointing season for Napoli. They weren't able to get anywhere near the top 4. It was a huge drop-off. But in their Champions League winning campaign, he was able... not Champions League winning. In their Serie A winning campaign, when they were high-flying, he was able to get 26 goals in 32 games. He had a brilliant output. But, if you look at the seasons before that, 14 goals, 10 goals, 13 goals, and then the goal in the season in 23-24, where he only had 15 goals, you see a little bit of an outlier, which is that 26-goal campaign. But you could argue that the way that Napoli team was able to create chances for him in 22-23, this Chelsea team can do that year in, year out. So maybe you'll get that 25, 26 goal output year in and year out, because I do think Chelsea as a whole, still, despite how bad Chelsea have been, still think overall the quality, they have better players than Napoli, players with more ability, players to be able to create more than Napoli is able to create. So, Napoli, they're going to be stingy. We saw the situation with them going on in Kvaratskhelia. They're not going to get played. Napoli is known for having that tough sporting director, and they're not going to get pushed over by Chelsea by any means. They're going to get the value that they deem is necessary for the player of Osimhen's quality. There's no two ways about it. And whether, that is a loan and a future buy or whatever they deem, but they're not going to put themselves in a position that they don't think they got enough for Osimhen. If they have any hesitation on whether or not they're getting a fair deal, Napoli, then they're not going to do the deal. They're not going to get played. There's no way they have backbone in terms of these sort of situations. You remember how long it took for someone to get Koulibaly out of Napoli, and it ended up being too late because he left out of his prime and he was a disaster. That 1 year at Chelsea actually ended up going to Saudi a year later. So we know the situation going on with Napoli. When Osimhen was speaking about this, actually this was a few whiles back in January, he was on a podcast. So he said, in times like this, when you're one of the hottest strikers on the globe, you expect this kind of speculation. At the end of the season, I've already made up my mind. He said that back then. He's already made up his mind. So, that sounds like someone who wants to go out. And what that club is, me being a Chelsea fan, I'm wishful thinking. I'm thinking it's Chelsea. Especially, the main rumors was Chelsea. Chelsea were the main team that needed a number 9. Osimhen has talked about in the past wanting to move to a Premier League. He was a Chelsea fan growing up. We know the history Chelsea has with Nigerian players. Victor Moses, John Obi Mikel. They have a very good history with Nigerian players. So I think Osimhen would want to continue on that sort of legacy. So I do think Chelsea was the club he was talking about. But do Chelsea have the financial means? They find themselves in a little bit of hardship? We'll see. I don't know. I don't think Chelsea are able to get it done. I don't see why Napoli would just let him go out on loan for a year. I don't really see that happening. It makes no sense for Napoli, in my opinion. You don't loan out a player of that sort of quality. It's not João Felix we're talking about. This is Victor Osimhen.